It's the Monday Night Results Show. Just the results, and nothing but the results. From this past weekend's race at your favorite racetracks, if you're looking for a lot of happy talk and fluff, tune into the Disney Channel. And now, the man with a mind for statistics. Unfortunately, those statistics are usually odds on the ponies in Vegas. Mitch, the Dr. Walker.
Hey, we're back. I ain't going to say we're 100%, but we are back. And still a little scratchy, but we're back. We'll just put it that way. And let's kick the show off like we do each and every week with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and speaking of this country, breaking news. The Supreme Court has ruled that there cannot be a nativity scene in the United States Capitol this Christmas season. This isn't for any religious reasons. They have just not been able to find three wise men in the nation's capital. A search for a virgin still continues, but there was no problem, however, finding enough asses to fill the stables. Yeah, that's my feeble attempt at humor. Yeah, a little bit of news left over from last week for those of you that didn't hear. Rick Eshelman, the man who has been the voice of the Southern Bonus Series, Schaefer Nationals, the past couple of years, will be moving on to the World of Outlaws. He will be the new World of Outlaw announcer. Also, I want to give a very special congratulations to late model driver Kenny Collins from down around Toccoa and Athens area. Had a new baby, Kaylee Louise Collins, welcomed into this world this past week. So keep that in mind. Also, the first annual Tim's Toy Run will be held on December the 10th, 2016. Registration begins at 10 o'clock in the parking lot behind the racetrack in Calhoun, Georgia. It will last about an hour. It will end at Duke's in Calhoun, where food will be served. The ride cost is one new unwrapped toy per rider, or donations of $10 or more. Food is included in the cost of the ride. All toys will be given to the Gordon County Fire Department to be distributed to needy children. Coffee and chocolates will be provided for all the riders at the beginning and the end of the ride. There will be a 50-50 drawing and door prizes. All vehicles are welcome to participate. So keep that in mind. All right. On tonight's show, we've got a bang-up show. We're going to have young dragster driver Dusty Rose is going to come on. We had him scheduled for last week, but due to my no voice, we wasn't able to pull that off. He's going to be talking about safety equipment and some of the eye-opening events that he has went through after a horrendous fire, and how his safety equipment saved his life. And then a little bit later on in the show, we're going to have Southern California racer Clint Massey is going to join us and talk about some of the racing that he done this weekend over at Rocky Hill Speedway out there in Porterville, California. And it's always good when we have the grassroots type racers. Now, well, I'll tell you what, we're getting ready to go out to a commercial break. So we're going to sit on this for a minute, and I've got some great news about next week's show. So sit tight and don't go nowhere. It is the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the Doctor, exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Do you love the sound of high revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today?
The only thing I didn't learn today.
The only thing I didn't learn
is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
Media sales professionals with agency experience. If you're frustrated with your current position, unrealistic quotas, and inept management, if you're a sales machine and you simply will not take no as an acceptable reply, if you're looking for a rapidly growing company with unlimited sales potential for commissions in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you're searching for a high-tech, forward-looking, laid-back, but extremely professional organization who appreciate your skills and dedication, we have your next opportunity. Scorpion Radio Group is building a sales team of self-starters who are motivated. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444 or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. That's 717-749-0444 and ask for Sue.
COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, is a lung disease that robs people of their ability to breathe. As many as 24 million Americans suffer from COPD, also known as chronic bronchitis or emphysema, and half of them don't know they have the disease. If you or someone you love is over 35 and has smoked more than 100 cigarettes in their lifetime, visit driveforcopd.org and take the screener, then take that to your doctor. I'm Jeff Stoltz, and I drive for COPD.
It's the Monday Night Results Show. The name says it all. Now back to your host, the doctor.
All right, welcome back. Just real quick, I just received a message just a couple of minutes ago. Local driver Mark Bishop is at the hospital with his dad having emergency surgery. He just asked for prayers. So keep Mark Bishop and his dad in your prayers, if you will. Also, this is something that has been near and dear to my heart for quite some time, and it has to do with an upcoming show. Let me go ahead and put this out there. I have been working, and I've been teasing everybody for the past couple of months about an upcoming guest, a legend in the sport of auto racing. Probably one of the most colorful people you could ever imagine, Tiger Tom Pistone. When we went over to Okinichi for the reunion a couple of months ago, I had the pleasure of sitting and having dinner next to Tom Pistone, and I have been working trying to get him on the show. Well, I talked with him this afternoon on the phone. We have a date locked in. Next week, next Monday night, will be 2 hours the entire show will be Tiger Tom Pistone. It's going to be the second special show that we've done like this. The first one we've done with Bill Blair. This one is going to be Tiger Tom Pistone, and we're going to be talking about a lot of things. One of the things that is near and dear to Tiger Tom's heart is animals. And he posted something earlier today that I want to, I'm going to read it just the way it was put out. Tiger Tom posted, I want to reach out to my friends and all in NASCAR. This is no joke. My daughters 24/7 are at their shelter trying to keep it open. They save many and many, many more needs help. They need help with the doctor bills, the food. Tom feels like his messages are not working. His daughter, Chrissy, and Lena run an animal shelter, and they have been struggling to keep the doors open. Tiger Tom has put everything he owns up for sale. His shop, his parts, his cars, everything he owns is up for sale to save his daughter's animal shelter. Now, you know, this man has probably more memorabilia, parts, and everything than most any two guys put together. And he's a legend in the sport of NASCAR. And why this man has to get on social media and ask for things the way he does is beyond me. It's an awesome cause, an animal shelter, something him and his family are passionate about. I spoke with Chrissy, his daughter, earlier, and it's to the point to where, you know, if they don't get some help pretty soon, they're going to have to shut it down. And they don't want to do that. There's too many animals out there that need help. So if you can, I have posted on the Monday Night Results Shows page the link to their website for what they've got going on. So if you can, please help them out. You know, it never hurts in this time of Thanksgiving that we just had and Christmas coming up. The reason for the season is not getting gifts, but giving them. And what a great way to help out somebody that's on a mission for a really, really great cause. Tom Pistone and his daughter Chrissy and their animal shelters. All the information is on my show page. So, you know, $5, $10, whatever you can afford to give, please reach out to them and help them out. It's something, you know, Tom's over 80 years old, and he's going to be on the show next week. And one of the things that he asked was, you know, just help me help my daughters. And that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to help him promote a good cause. You know, I mean, this man is probably one of the most colorful men in NASCAR. You know, 1960, this story was told, and I never believed it until I heard it from his own lips, okay? Tommy Irwin was racing in the first qualifier at Daytona, and he went into Lake Lloyd in the first qualifying race. He didn't drown but it took a little bit to get him out. Well, Tiger Tom can't swim, and he was paranoid about it. So when he got in his car to go out for his race, he wore a life preserver in an oxygen tube, you know, an iron lung type deal to, in case he went in the lake, he wanted to make sure that he come out of there. And, you know, that's just one of many, many stories. Him talking about running Soldiers Field, the stadium in Chicago. Back in the day, in the 50s and the early 60s, when you know, racers were really racers. And that's something that I'm going to have a ball with him next week. So you don't want to miss that show, I promise you. Tune into that because it's going to be a great show. Also, while we're talking about helping people out, Griffin Kinsey. We have talked about Griffin quite a few times. Griffin is battling colon cancer. And I spoke with him Thanksgiving Day. The doctors have told him that there's not much more they can do. There is a couple of links on my personal page. Meal Train is one of them. There's a GoFundMe page on there. If anybody can help out Griffin and his family, Griffin's family to me, help him out. Everybody needs a little help when they're down and out, and Griffin has helped lots of racers in this area over the years. His dad, Robert Kinsey, was a promoter at North Georgia Speedway years ago, and a lot of people who've been around this sport for a long time. It's one of those things that he could use some help. His days on this earth are numbered, and he knows that. He understands it. He said he's right with God and he's ready to go. He said he would like to hang around for a little bit longer, but if it's God's will, then he's ready to go. So keep him and his family, his daughter and his son, Kayla and Zachary, keep them in your prayers as well. It's Griffin Kinsey. All right. There's Dan Horan, longtime drag racer. His son posted this yesterday. To all my dad's friends, my dad passed away yesterday unexpectedly at his home in Big Bear City, California, due to a sudden and unexpected nature of his death. The San Bernardino County Coroner's Office will be performing an autopsy to determine the cause of death. My dad truly loved the sport of drag racing and everyone involved in it. And he was my single biggest fan and supporter. This is a tragic loss to our family. I would like to have a memorial at the March Meet 2017 on Thursday preceding the event. We will be monitoring his Facebook page and posting updates as the situation progresses. Thank you and God bless Dan Horan Jr. So another racer gone. Keep them in your prayers. There's lots of racers who we have lost in the past year. And it breaks my heart to have to bring news like that to each and every one of us. But it just reminds everybody that, life is short. Tell the people that you care about, let them know. And it could be gone in the twinkle of an eye. All right. We're up against a commercial. And when we come back here in just a few minutes, we're going to be having Dusty Rose in with us. He's going to sit in, and we're going to talk a little safety and some of the things that he just went through, and the incredible fire that he survived. And we're going to talk about how he done it. And, you want to talk about something that'll make you feel old. I just had my 29th birthday last Friday. Yeah, right. 57th, okay? I turned 57 last Friday. I went down to get my driving license renewed. And they wanted to see my birth certificate. I said, really? They said, yeah, we got to see your birth certificate. So I had to go down to the courthouse and get the stone tablet. I've got it in the back of my truck. I'm going to be carrying it down there one day this week. But it really makes you feel old when they ask for your birth certificate. It's makes you feel old. It just does. All right, for everybody in Alabama and parts of Central Tennessee, we have a serious storm coming this way. I just checked the radar a few minutes ago. It is lots of red and orange. So if we vanish, that's where we're at. We're suffering through a power outage, but we will try to get back as quick as we can. But everyone, stay safe and don't be out driving around unless you just have to. It's wet out there, and we need the rain. Makes all the racetracks grow bigger. All right. We're going to step out. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to have the man himself, Mr. Dusty Rose. He's going to be joining us. It's the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the Doctor, exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend. My brother. My poor grandchild.
My sister.
My father.
My husband.
My mom. My mommy.
Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you.
Stop these tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
The Performance Motorsports Network is a compilation of shows about motorsports. From technical to controversial to just fun, everything you like about racing and gearhead stuff is right here on one internet channel. The Performance Motorsports Network. Tell your friends about it.
Hi, I'm Reed Sorensen. Racing has been a part of me and my family for as long as I can remember. I had to make tough choices early on to get to the top. It took hard work and dedication, but it's those tough choices that helped me prepare for challenges I would face as a cup driver. Make the right choices today and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
It's the Monday Night Results Show, the internet radio show that gives you the results from your favorite racetracks. And that's it. If you're looking for a lot of happy talk and fluff, go watch NASCAR coverage on Fox TV. Now, here's the Doctor.
All right. It is the Monday Night Results Show, and we are back. We are all revved up and ready to go. Now, before we get started on anything else, quick note. The Gobbler 100 that was run down at Cochran this weekend, Kyle Van Sickle was tagged as the winner in the late model division. He was DQ'd. And Hunter Peacock has declared the winner of the Gobbler with Kevin Van Sickle being DQ'd. Also, Joey Saldana, a sprint car driver, been around for quite some time, had a ride with Casey Kane for a while, drove for Tony Stewart, I believe. He has stepped into the 17 that Brian Clausen left for owners Mike Woods, Dennis Roth, Richard Marshall, and buying into the team now, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. So it's going to be Woods and Stenhouse as the team owners for the 17 car that Brian Clausen had been driving. And Joey Saldana will be the new pilot. All right, joining us right now, young man who went through some tough times. He went through some tough times recently, and got a little hot. Mr. Dusty Rose. Dusty, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you?
Man, I'm finding a frog hair split 3 ways and sanded. Getting over a little bit of laryngitis, but we're getting through it, you know.
Yeah.
So now, Dusty, I know that you know we have all seen your pictures, and for those of you that haven't seen them, check him out, Dusty Rose. He's got his pictures on his Facebook page of his fire suit and his helmet and his gloves. It looked like it got a little hot.
Yeah, I got a little hot in there. I mean, it was I know it was probably at least 1,200 degrees because it melted aluminum on the car. So I know it was at least that hot.
Well, let's back up a little bit. Tell us what happened.
Well, you know, I got hired to drive the car in the off season. Guy called me, and you know, he offered me the job, and you know, I thought about it for a while, and then, you know, I thought about it, and I was like, you know, wanted to do this since I was 5 years old. You know, drive a funny car, and so I got the opportunity. I took it. You know, we made the runs in it. I got my license and all that stuff in it, and then we took it to Tulsa, September 17th for the Nitro Nationals. And we got rained out Friday night for test and tune. So Saturday we went, and first pass down the track, we were running the legendary Blue Max funny car, which was pretty cool, just to say that I've raced the Blue Max funny car. But first pass down the track, I was in the right-hand lane, right about 1,000 foot. It banged the blower. The car dropped an intake valve, and blower popped on it. You know, and it's not really that, you know, that uncommon for a fuel car like that, because it was a nitro car. We're a 90% nitro. And it's not that uncommon to drop an intake valve and pop a blower, you know, but what made the fire so bad was when it popped the blower, it broke fuel lines, and then that fire went down back into the fuel line, and the fuel cell exploded. So it was kind of one of those freak deals that happened, and it happened to me. So.
Well, now, what did you think, Dusty, when you seen what happened? I mean, you know, as a dragster driver running drag cars, you know, breaking a motor is not that uncommon. I mean, it's not something you want to see happen. But what was your thoughts when you realized that this was getting ready to get real ugly?
You know, when it first happened, it didn't really freak me out that much. But I've raced a long time. You know, I started racing when I was 7 years old, so I've been doing it 17 years. But when I seen the blower pop, it didn't really freak me out that much. You know, I pulled the parachutes and pulled the fire bottles and shut the fuel off. But then I seen the fire, and then when that fuel cell exploded, that's when it went ugly pretty fast. You know, everything went pitch black, and, you know, I couldn't see anything. It was pretty bad. But it, like I said, it didn't freak me out until that fuel cell exploded. But I stayed pretty calm, you know, even through that, because if I wouldn't have stayed calm, me staying calm and everything helped save my life, so I could think about what I needed to do to get out of the car.
Now, when you got out, the car was still rolling, wasn't it?
Yeah, when I got out of the car, it was still going 61 mile an hour. But at the time, you know, I didn't know how fast I was going because I couldn't see anything, but I really didn't care. I just knew I had to get out. So, you know, luckily, I got all my belts off. You know, I couldn't see anything, but I got all my seat belts off, and I got up out of the car, and I pushed the roof hatch open with my hand. And then I just kind of felt the hatch open, and then I just kind of pushed myself off the chassis, and I knew my head had came out of the car. So I knew that was good news. So I just continued to push myself up out of it, and I rolled off the left side of it. I kind of sat up on the roof, and I rolled off of it. And when I rolled off of it, I felt the roof cave in because it was a carbon fiber body, you know. So the roof collapsed when I rolled off of it. But yeah, it was going 61 mile an hour. So I hit the ground pretty hard. But, you know, again, I didn't know how fast I was going. I didn't care.
Well, I mean,
just knew I had to get out.
Well, you know, when you're jumping out of the oven, you know, it don't matter how fast
right.
you're going.
Yeah.
You want it out.
Matter. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's not a place you want to be. I mean,
Now you had said that, you know, you had that fire made you rethink some of your safety precautions that you normally take. What was one of the first things you thought of?
Well, like when the fire happened?
No, I mean when after it was all said and done, you said that it made you rethink some of your safety gear, and realize just how important that the safety gear was, your helmet and your fire suit and everything. What was some of your first thoughts after you really got time to sit and think about it?
Well, I've always been big on safety, always. I started racing when I was 7 years old, and it's just something that me and my dad always practice. Never, anything safety related, never skimp on it. I know it's high dollar, but it'll pay off. But I had pretty much all the best stuff you could buy on in the car. I had a 20 suit, a Simpson 20 suit. I had, so I had all the good stuff. I had all the best stuff you could buy. And I kind of upgraded my equipment a little bit when I took the job to drive the car. Because I've got a front engine dragster that I race also, but it's not near the caliber of car that funny car was. So I kind of upgraded my equipment a little bit as far as like the Carbon X underwear, Carbon X gloves, undergloves, and the Carbon X top. Everything else I had was pretty much qualified to drive the car, but, after I got out of it and everything and a couple of days went by, just looking at all my stuff, all burned up in a box, it just kind of made me realize that how important it actually is because it helped save my life. I mean, it bought me time to get out of it.
Dusty, we have one of the friends of the show is Gary McCullough, who is a safety crew. He owns Track Pro Safety Team, and they do a lot of dirt track races here in the Southeast. And one of the things that Gary has said many, many, many times on the show, talking about safety apparel and safety equipment, is gloves. And he said, he said, it's tough when you try to tell these guys that go out racing without gloves that, think about it. When that car catches on fire, you have to do two things. You have to undo your belts and you have to get out. And it's really hard to undo your belts when you're sitting there watching the flesh melt off your bones.
Right. Yeah, and even with me wearing two pairs of gloves, my right hand, I got burnt in the car, but my, even with two pairs of gloves on my right hand, it even got burnt. It was a third degree, it was almost down to the bone, not quite, but I had to have surgery on it. But yeah, I see guys all the time. It doesn't matter what they're doing, if they're dirt car racing or, tractor pull and stuff, and they're not wearing any gloves, which, like you said, that's what you use to get out of the car. So what are you going to do if everything's hot,
Well,
it's
now,
like putting your hand on the stove,
How long do you think you were actually in the fire?
I'm not really sure. It seemed like I was in there for years, like an eternity, but I would probably say I was in the car at least 30 seconds, maybe, from the time it blew up, from the time I got out of it.
But like you said, that it seems like an eternity just trying to get out, don't it?
Yeah, and you got a lot going on. You always think about the situation, like, okay, what would I do if this happened, or what would I do if this happened? But it's a whole different ballgame when it actually happens, and you're in the situation. And it's just like anything. It doesn't matter what it is, sports or racing or anything, It's a whole different situation and scenario when it actually happens and you're in that position.
Now, when you look back on your career, how and you think about the progression that you've made, and you started out, you said racing at the age of 7, and as you've worked your way up, you've got to the level that you're at now. When you look back on all the years that you've raced, what do you see as probably one of the best safety features that has come along in your racing career?
Probably, honestly, probably a Hans device. I know it's not fire related or anything, but, the head and neck restraint, I think, is really important. I wore a Hans device, and I had a Hans on a funny car. and I think they're important. It doesn't matter what you're driving, whether it's, like I said, a dirt track car or stock car or anything. I mean, if you're racing something, you can hit a wall, or another car, or anything, and that can make your head go forward, and that's where people get hurt and get killed. So I think they're pretty important. Fire suits have been around a long time. They have evolved, immensely, and gotten better and better. But I think, probably one of the most important things is the Hans device, the neck restraint, and then, a good pair of gloves and a good helmet.
It's funny a while ago that you mentioned the Simpson suits. The spot that I put you in tonight, and well, it started out as last week's show, but it wound up being tonight's show. I had a young lady, Jessica Coulter, who works for Simpson. She has been scheduled to come on the show, and we were going to talk about safety equipment, and then a friend of mine turned me on to you, and I contacted you, and we kind of put this together. So I kind of pushed her back because it's one thing to talk about it, about how to get it and where to get it and what to get, but to sit and talk to somebody who's actually been there, done it, and used it. I thought that you would be a whole lot better guest for tonight's show than I mean, I'm not saying she's not, and I've seen your picture and I've seen her. She's a whole lot better looking than you are.
Oh yeah, but I'm sure.
But it's I think it's one of the things that we focus on this show. We have focused from day one on safety, and it's one of the things that I'm passionate about, and we work really hard. I've called racetracks out. I've called promoters out. I've called drivers out, trying to make people aware of the dangers that are involved. And you said that you spent less than 30 seconds in that fire. I've seen your fire suit, your helmet, and your gloves. They're burnt to a crisp. And you were actually there. You were actually in the fire. That's in my years of racing, fire was always one of my biggest fears. But now, when you look at that, and you look at the time that it took, do you ever practice getting out of a car?
I mean, I do. I mean, you can take that funny car, for example. They're not easy to get in and out of when they're stopped and they're not on fire. They're hard to get in and out of. But I wouldn't say, I practice climbing in and out of the escape hatch on the roof, but people, they'll climb out of those, even after they make their run and nothing happens, if they don't want to sit in the car till their crew gets down there. Because a funny car, they don't have any doors, you got to lift the whole body up to get the driver out. But you can crawl out of that hatch and stuff. And then, like, when I made my license passes and all that stuff, I just would crawl out of the hatch at the end of the track, So, getting in and out is important, but, obviously, having like a plan or, thinking about what you're going to do. And I'll tell you this, Mitch, before I made that pass in Tulsa, I sat in that funny car while it was still in the pits and everything. And I sat in it by myself, nobody around, for probably 30 minutes, just sitting in the car and looking at everything. And I wasn't necessarily going over escape plans or anything like that, but just sitting in it and getting familiar with everything. That way it's fresher in your mind. You can make 1,000 passes in a car, but, it always helps just to sit and look and analyze everything around you. That way if something does happen, it's fresh on your mind, and muscle memory, like when you do a license test and stuff, you do a blindfold test, they literally blindfold you and they'll say, hey, grab the parachutes or grab the fire bottles, and you got to know all that stuff is. Just like in a situation like mine where I couldn't see, I was blinded, you see my helmet, the visor was melted, and obviously your adrenaline's going crazy, you're trying not to panic and stuff like that, but just keeping composure and keeping cool and staying calm in a situation like that as much as you can, it'll help to save your life, It helped save mine, I know that, because, honestly, if I wouldn't have got out of that car when I did, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. Because my helmet had fresh air system in it, but the fire melted the tube off of it, so I had no air. And that's when I knew okay, it's time to get out of this car. Because when it was on fire and I was going down the track, I couldn't see anything, like I said, but I had my left hand on the steering wheel and my right hand on the brake because it was a handbrake car. It had a clutch pedal, throttle, and it was a handbrake that you pulled back. Well, I'm sitting there trying to ride this thing out I'm sitting there waiting to hit the sand at the end of the track so I can crawl out of it. And like I said, it seemed like I was in there for an eternity, so it wasn't happening. And when I went to breathe and I couldn't breathe, that's when I knew it's time to get out of this car. So that's when I just let go of the steering wheel. I let go of the brake, and I just started reaching, in my lap trying to find my seat belts, and I undid them, and that's when I was able to get out. But it's just, like I said, thinking about it and having a process, just like anything, like even in school, they have fire drills and stuff like that, or any kind of drills. Just a process. It'll help you out in the long run if that does happen to you,
Oh, yeah. Well, I tell you what, hang tight with us. We're going to step out and take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about drag racing. So sit tight. Okay. It's the Monday Night Results Show with your host, Mitch Walker. They call me the Doctor, and my special guest, Dusty Rose, right here exclusively on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speeds, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right, it's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Hi, this is John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Racing is all about winning. But hey, the second place guy has family too, getting you all the results from your favorite racetracks. Now back to the Monday Night Results Show with the Doctor.
All right, welcome back. Joining us, our guest, Mr. Dusty Rose, who went through a pretty spectacular fire recently. And to all the people up in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, our prayers are with you. They're evacuating downtown Gatlinburg because of the fires that are creeping in up there. So we're going to be keeping you guys in our prayers. But now, Dusty, one thing that I wanted to talk to you about, you know, we have always, on the Monday Night Results Show, we've always kind of focused on dirt racing, round racing. We've had some drag boat guys in. We've had some sprint car guys in. I've even had an electric car racer on the show, but I've never had anybody who run drag cars that I can remember. I don't think we have. So tell us a little bit. You mentioned a while ago a handbrake. Now tell us a little bit about how this works.
Well, like, on the funny car, it's got a 2-speed Linko clutch. It does have a clutch in it, but you really only use it to back up, to put the car in reverse to back up after the burnout. But so in a car like that, with the chassis being so narrow and stuff, it has a handbrake. It kind of comes up right on the side, like almost by your thigh. And it's just, like I said, it's just a, aluminum lever that comes up, and you just pull back on it towards you, and that stops the car. It was a little awkward to transition to, because like my front motor dragster, it's just got the, old standard brake pedal and throttle pedal, but to go from a handbrake to a foot pedal, it's a little different transition, because, just like braking a car, you got to find that happy medium, and it's the same thing with pulling back on the brake, So it's a little different, transitioning and everything, but you get used to it just like anything else.
Now, when you stepped up and you started driving funny cars, this year with this ride, and you got to race the Blue Max, what did you think when you looked out the window and you looked over in the next lane and seen the Blue Max sitting there?
Man, I'll tell you, it was pretty crazy, because I'm young, I'm 24 years old, but I've always been around cars my whole life, always. When I was a little kid in my dad's shop, my playpen was a Chevy 2 Nova, so I've always been around it. And as soon as I was old enough to start racing, I was 7, I started racing junior dragsters. Kind of like, it's like similar to mini sprints, But I've always loved nostalgia drag racing. Always. Like, my hero icon, whatever you want to call him, is Don the Snake Perdome, But anybody that knows anything about drag racing knows who the Blue Max is, Raymond Beadle.
Yep.
So for me to be 24 and say, hey, I've raced a Blue Max funny car, it's pretty cool. Even though when it happened, I exploded. But, I'm okay, and I'm here to talk about it. So, it's okay. But if I never get back in another funny car, I can at least say I raced a Blue Max funny car. So it's pretty cool. It's something that you can definitely, mark off that list. It's pretty cool.
It's a feather in your cap for sure.
Right, exactly.
Now, when you were talking about your licensing test, now as what a lot of people may not know, and I do know this, as you move up in divisions or classes in drag racing, you have to go through different licensing tests, don't you?
Yeah. For however fast you're going, depending on how fast you go, whether you could just have an ET license or an advanced ET, just depending on how fast you're going to go, you may have to make, it's four passes is what you have to make to advance your license. So it just kind of depends on how fast you want to go.
Now, we had a couple of weeks ago out in Southern California, they had the Cackle Fest, and it was a reunion of AA fuel altereds. And we had Rod Hines, who has drove some of the most badass AA fuel altereds that ever rolled down the drag strip. We had him on and talking with him about what it was like back in the day, in the early 70s, to run these cars that were just
those guys
unbelievably
were crazy,
fast.
Yeah, and they're fast, and we're kind of on the safety topic, but there was no safety back then. I mean, those guys, they'd build chassis out of drive shafts. They're crazy. And it's just insane that some of them are even still alive. To those cars, they stuff those big motors in them and weak chassis, and they wore the half helmets with the goggles, and it's crazy. The sport's evolved so much.
What got me was when they started running some of those and they started tipping the nitro can and running on fuel, the fire did get to them a little bit. They started taking and using that aluminized material to make face mask out of. Right. Running the open helmet, and then they would put the face mask on that would snap to the helmet, and then pull goggles down, and it's like, my God. You sit back and you look at these guys, and see, I come from sprint cars, and to look back in the 60s, I had Rick Gowdy Sr. on my show one time. He raced before the roll cages. And, he said that when they started putting roll cages on sprint cars, a lot of drivers kept thinking, oh, man, those are for girls. If you put roll cages on them, then anybody will start driving them. But now he realizes the safety factor and how many lives that it saved. And you look back on drag racing and some of the innovations that have come along in fire suits, in helmets, in protective gear. The innovations are just outstanding, some of the things that they've done in drag racing.
Yeah, it's come a long way. I mean, it's crazy to see some of these drag cars, and even sprint cars, they have bad accidents. But like some of these top fuel funny cars, these guys will, hit the wall or, go airborne at 300 mile an hour, and then they'll get out and walk away from the car. It's crazy, So it just kind of shows how far that it's gone,
The thing that gets me, is you look at these cars, the acceleration factor is what just blows me away because these guys go from a standing start, dead stop, to over 300 miles an hour in just the blink of an eye.
1,000 foot, yeah.
And it's like,
crazy.
What is that acceleration like?
I've never, I didn't drive the level of, Big Show top fuel funny car. I mean, that nostalgia funny car I was driving was the closest thing that I probably would ever got to it, But even at that, like that funny car, like 60 foot time, from a dead stop to 60 foot out was less than a second, like 0.98. Well, so it's probably 4 or 5 G's that you're pulling right there. So it's pretty insane. I mean, like when you get out of the car, you feel like you don't have a stomach. But I'll tell you, the more G's, you have more G's when you pull the parachutes and they blossom out and they hit than you do taking off.
Really?
Like when you pull those parachutes and it's crazy. But it's a relief too. When you pull those chutes and you feel that, it's like, okay, the chutes came out, I'm good. Because I mean, those are your brakes. That the brakes on the car, they're not going to stop it without no parachutes.
Yeah, especially in the distance that you've got.
Right. But, when those chutes come out, it feels like someone just runs and drop kicks you in the chest. But like I said, it's a good feeling, too, because they came out.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we're going to stop. We're not going through the sand
traps. It's a relief, yeah.
I had, talking about drag drivers, we had Brian Sanders with Nitrochondriac. He drives a Top Fuel Hydro drag boat. And I asked him, I said, what's it like, to sit down in something with 3,000 horsepower and light the candle on it when you see the green light? I said, what's it like? And you could just see through the radio, you could hear his eyes sparkling. He said, man, it's
there's
intense.
Nothing like it. That funny car that I drove, it probably made about 6,000 horsepower. And I'm telling you, it's just, and even just sitting behind it, because that motor's in front of you, it's all there, right in your face. And it's intimidating just sitting there looking at it, knowing that, hey, this is in front of my face, But yeah, I'm telling you, there's nothing like it. I mean, to me, there's nothing like racing. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, it's just, it's like going and taking a vacation, because when you race, you don't think about anything else.
Now,
it's just an awesome feeling.
When you make a run down the quarter mile, it's over in just seconds. Do you breathe?
Probably not. You don't really think about it, but you're probably holding your breath the whole time.
Well,
because I don't, you don't really recall and think about it, but no, you probably don't breathe at all.
The first laps I ever made in the sprint car, I made probably 4 laps, and I started getting lightheaded, and I kept thinking, what is wrong? Is it the fuel? And then it dawned on me, it's like, breathe, dummy.
Yeah, you're holding your breath the whole time.
I was holding my breath, it's like, it's intense. The speed, the adrenaline rush of mashing a throttle on something and getting slung into the corner as fast as you go, and you know that everything's going to work right. So you're just going to come out the other end of the corner and mash on it again. In drag racing, you guys just mash on it once, and but you get all that in one pass. I mean, the adrenaline rush in one pass. How long does it take you to calm down after a run?
Oh, I mean, you kind of. I mean, I'd say. I mean, once you get back to your trailer and stuff, and you can sit down, maybe 5-10 minutes. You know, you can kind of cool off and then be like, all right, I need to do this. You know, get ready for the next run, and kind of evaluate what you need to do as far as maybe tuning the car or anything like that.
Now, see, you guys don't do much chassis tuning, do you?
No, not really. I mean, really, I'd say, and if you even call it that, the only kind of chassis tuning you would do is as far as maybe adjusting the wheelie bar in the car, But that's about it.
But yeah, I mean, you guys make a lot of other adjustments during a weekend at the track, whether it be with a clutch or with a blower.
Yeah, clutch.
Whatever.
I mean, what kind of jets or whatever you're running in it, timing. Anything like that. Even tire pressure. It's very crucial, just like dirt track racing. I mean, people think it's stupid. Oh, tire pressure. It'll be okay, but no, it's very important.
And you drag cars, you've got to have some wheel spin off the line, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, 60 foot, it's the most important part, I feel like. Right, the starting line is the most important part of the race, as far as reaction time and 60 foot, That's where races are won, not at the finish line. To me, they're won at the starting line. But yeah, I mean, as far as, because if you blow the tires off it or smoke the tires, you're done. You're done. You might as well load your stuff up. So it's important, definitely.
What's next for you, Dusty?
Well, I've got new gear ordered. I'm going to drive my dragster next year for sure. It's really hard for me to say if I'll get another funny car anytime soon. Just because, I've done a lot of stupid stuff in my life, broken bones, all that stuff, But I've never, ever been in a situation where I thought, hey, this is it. This is the end of the road for me. I'm done. And when I was in that funny car and it was on fire, I thought I was going to die. I really did. And, the only thing that went through my mind was my wife. And then at the time when all this happened, my wife was 8 months pregnant. So my wife went through my mind, and then my son, which, he wasn't even born yet. And I really think that that's kind of what gave me the strength to get out of the car, and now I feel like I was destined to be a father because I made it out okay. I got burnt, but I'm healing up and everything. But it's too soon for me to say if I'll drive another funny car. I don't really know. I've ordered new safety equipment. I'll give a shout out to DJ Safety, Big Ben in Los Angeles. I got a fire suit coming from him, boots and gloves. That guy's awesome. Like even any of you guys, circle track racing, it doesn't matter. If you're looking for gear, call Big Ben at DJ Safety, and he will take care of you. He's an awesome guy, down to earth. I mean, he's never met me ever before, and he treated me like I was one of his best friends, and I knew him for 20 years. And he hooked me up. He's making me a custom suit right now. And I got a helmet coming from Impact, and I got the same helmet that I had on in the car because I'm a believer in them. I didn't get my face burned off, and I personally tested the helmet myself, unfortunately. But so I want another one. So I got another one of those coming. But I plan on racing next year in my dragster. And I'm gonna go have fun with it. My wife and my son can go out and do that because I kind of stay close to home when I do that. I don't travel too much to do it, but that's probably what I'll do next year. And then I just have to see what as far as my mindset goes, whether I can even get back in another funny car because, what I went through, and it was a little traumatizing, because I remember everything that happened. And another thing that I'll add on the safety, I know it sounds so stupid, but I would wear a mouthpiece because I had a mouthpiece on in that car. It sounds stupid, but, the concussion of that blower banging, it was hard. And honestly, if I wouldn't have been wearing a mouthpiece, it may have knocked me out. And if it would have knocked me out, again, I wouldn't be here. You could buy those mouthpieces that they have holes in the center of them to where you can still breathe just fine.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's pretty important too. You know, we were talking about the neck devices being important, and it sounds stupid, but it's so simple to go buy a $10 mouthpiece and, you know, save your teeth from getting knocked together and knocking you out. You know, even in dirt track racing, you guys bump and a lot, you know, hit walls and stuff more than drag racers. But even that could save you from getting knocked out and doing God knows what, you know, rolling or catching on fire and not being able to get out because you're knocked out, you know. So I feel like mouthpieces are important. Again, I know it sounds dumb, but
no, it don't. No.
If I wouldn't have been wearing one in that car, it may have knocked me out.
Well, you know, Dusty, man, it's you've brought up some really important items that things that I would have never have thought of. I would never have thought of a mouthpiece, but now that you say it, it does make a lot of sense. And we're up against a commercial break. I'm going to have to let you go, but man, I appreciate it, and keep us posted on your progress and your racing.
I will,
we'll get you back on again once you get started back in that front engine dragster.
That's great, man. I appreciate you having me, and like I said, man, I'm happy to be here. You know, I'm here with my wife. I get to be a dad. I can't be any happier, you know. And my unfortunate incident, I feel like it's helping people out, and that's my goal, you know. I feel, you know, people see my stuff, and they've messaged me and reached out to me just like you have, and they're like, hey, I'm going to go buy better gear. And that's what I want, you know. So hopefully, you know, my situation will help save someone's life, you know, and that's all I can ask for.
That's right, and use it as a tool to learn and to teach young and up and coming drivers, and even some old drivers.
Yeah, right.
You know, some of us old guys are kind of hard headed, but we learn after a while.
Old dog, new tricks, you know.
That's right. That's right. Dusty, I appreciate you coming on, man, and keep us posted on what's going on with Dusty Rose Racing.
I will, Mitch. Thank you so much. It was an honor, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, anytime, man. Anytime. You've always got an open door to the Monday night show. Dusty Rose, ladies and gentlemen, dragster driver extraordinaire, going through some of the things that he has went through, and still comes back to tell us about it, and most importantly, comes back to be a dad and a husband. All right, we're up against a commercial break. We're going to step out, take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to step back into some dirt track racing, talk about Rocky Hill Speedway, and Mr. Clint Massey is going to join us. So sit tight, don't go nowhere. It's the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the Doctor, exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station.
Hi, this is Bob Sheehan from Blues Traveler for RAD, Recording Artists Against Drunk Driving. I like to party just as much as the next guy, maybe even more, but the one thing I won't do after I've had a few is get in the car and drive. Don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, and so should you.
Motorsports Sales Professionals. Performance Motorsports is looking to build a team of experienced media sales professionals to represent our programming to the industry's top companies, magazines, and racing series. If you have motorsports sales or marketing experience, know how to work with agencies, understand social media, and are incredibly creative when it comes to working with clients and promotions, then we want to hear from you. Top performers are richly rewarded. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444, or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
You are a waste. A loser. Everyone hates you. Why don't you just stay in your car and keep driving? I'm serious. Drive until you run out of gas, then get out of your car and walk until you find someone who doesn't think you're dumber than bricks. Could take a while, but at least all that walking might burn a couple of calories.
You may not witness bullying like this every day. Your kids do. They want to help, but they don't know how. Visit stopbullying.gov to learn safe, simple ways your child can help stop bullying. Be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
You're listening to the Monday Night Results Show. Back-to-back results, and that's it. You want half-naked girls, singing, and sound effects? Go watch American Idol. Now, here's the doctor.
All right, welcome back. You know, there is a lot of racing going on throughout the country, and some of it centers around different holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas. There's a bunch of them coming up, New Year's. One of the big ones coming up New Year's will be the 11th annual Wild West Shootout out in Arizona. The 7th, 8th, 11th, 13th, 14th, and 15th of January out there in Arizona Speedway. They'll be turning just about everything loose out there. So keep that in mind. But this past weekend, they had a big race out at Rocky Hill Speedway up in Porterville, California. And a young man who was there and racing, Mr. Clint Massey, joins us. Clint, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing, Doc?
Man, I'm finding a frog hair split 3 ways and sanded.
Well, I hear you there, man. That's a good deal.
If you ain't never seen a frog hair, say it gets real technical then because you got to split it. Never mind. Here, Clint, I know you have been racing for quite some time, and as you said, it was your golden ticket off the farm. Tell us a little bit about how you got started racing.
Well, it all started out basically right off the farm, fixing up some tractors and, obviously starting out on bikes. But, once Grandpa turned over the keys of the tractor, well, one thing led to another, and mud bogging was born for me. I'll tell you what.
Now, are you one of them that can't leave things well enough alone?
Yeah, well, that's certainly me. If I can't fix it and make it better, well, I might as well not have it.
I spent some time up in Illinois, and up there everything's farming, corn and wheat and everything. I was riding down the road one day, and I seen this tractor. It was a Steiger Panther, this big, huge monstrosity tractor, and it was pulling a turning plow. And, I mean, I'm sitting there, and I'm just riding along about 20 miles an hour watching this thing going, my God, the horsepower of that thing to bury those plows down in the ground and turn that dirt like that. I was mesmerized by it. And I'm following along, and then all of a sudden the tractor stopped. And I stopped, it stopped, and I stopped, and the farmer looks out, and he's, can I help you with something? I said, oh, no, man. I was just admiring the tractor, and, I said, that's some piece of equipment. He said, well, Lord, he said, park your car right over there and come ride with me. And I went and rode one lap around that field with him, and that amazed me of the power that this thing had. And I kept thinking, well, if you done this, or maybe if you kicked up the injectors just a little bit, you could probably plow this field a few minutes quicker than you're doing it now. I just can't leave things well enough alone.
Well, yeah, that's a pretty good one, man. I'll tell you what, those Alice Chalmers, those are the tractors that pump up, man. You get some power to the ground with those suckers.
Man, I'll tell you, and you look at that, and it don't matter if it's mowing the yard or plowing a field or going to work. I can't leave nothing alone. If I think I can speed it up just a little bit, then I'm all over it.
I hear you there. Same here, man. Looks like we're two of a kind on that aspect, huh?
Yeah, I believe so. Now, tell us a little bit about this race that you had this past weekend.
Well, the Thanksgiving Thunder Grand Nationals is a third year event. All the drivers really pulled together and and really helped knock it out of the park on getting people there and making sure everyone's squared away. And, it was quite the race. We had really high expectations, and in some aspects it was really met. And, quite the experience this year.
And I know you were running in the 4-cylinder division, and I read somewhere that it was an open motor class.
Not to chuckle at the definition of open motor, but it's quite open. And here locally we call them mini stocks. So some of our class this race would be probably closer to a Hornet class, which some of you dirt track guys know what that is. That's a beefed up 4-cylinder, and they call them Super 4s or Hornet class if you're a front wheel drive. So these cars were dialed in, going top speed, man, and track conditions were less than ideal. Mother Nature said, "I'm going to give you some rain," and well, we took it and ran with it.
Now, this racetrack is it's set for a long time, didn't it?
Yes, it did. So from right about the mid-'90s, about 94 till 2011, it rose from the ashes. When it first opened, we were doing mud bogs and mud racing, and then right towards the beginning of 2012, Justin and Amy, which were the promoters at the time, really opened it back up to being a clay oval dirt track. And what a phenomenal thing to get into.
Well, we have watched down here where I live in Georgia, in the southeast. We've got tons of racetracks. In the past 10 or 12 years, we've had a few close. We've had some that have been open for years, like Cleveland Speedway just up the road in Tennessee. It has been open for more than 50 years. It is sitting idle this year. Have one down in south of here, or over east of here, Blue Ridge Motorsports Park, it's called now. It's set for 3 years, and it came back. We are starting to see a resurgence of racetracks that have been closed in the past start to come back. So the interest in dirt track racing is there. It's just, the problem you have is finding, I guess you could say, a promoter that's willing to do the right thing and go the long haul, isn't it?
It is, and we certainly saw that on Saturday night. Our little track, Rocky Hill Speedway, was established in 1939. And it's been through its ups and downs, promoters, simple management, things like that. And, with our former promoter, Alan Evans, and now Sonny Sell, you could definitely tell the difference between management styles. A lot of things really are quite a bit better. But on Saturday night, it certainly was a shortcoming. And needless to say, the whole field, speaking for the mini stock guys, didn't feel that that was the best decision.
Well, now let me open up a can of worms here. I've watched the video, 2 different videos of it, and I saw the flagman throw a white flag. There was contact way back in the field. There was contact on the back straight. The leaders come to the start-finish line and were met with a checkered flag at the start-finish line. And after I think it was 5 or 6 cars went by, a yellow came out. Now,
basically that's kind of the way that I saw it from the driver's seat anyways. You got some peripheral vision. When you're locked and loaded and you're on that final lap, you're just seeing tunnel vision, So as we get past, start coming around 1 and 2, starting to do our cool down parade lap, caution light comes on like everything else. We get radioed, hey, there's a wreck on turn 3, stay high. So, we go finish what we need to do and make it back away to our podium area. And, to our shock, after we're getting our helmets off, they said, hey, just kidding, guys. It was a yellow flag. We're going to go ahead and, finish 2 more laps. So it really was quite the surprise for them to, push the issue and continue the race after the checkered.
Now, I've went back and I have looked on quite a few different websites of racetracks across the country, and it has I have looked and seen 100 different rules for finishing the race, but one thing that I have found that is pretty common among all of them is the checkered flag ends the race. Now, it
certainly does. And up till the Saturday night, that's the way I felt. Right down the road, there's this little tiny track. Maybe a few of you guys have heard it. It's called Bakersfield Speedway. Maybe you've heard of it.
Yeah, I've talked about Bakersfield Speedway before.
Yeah, and so those fellows down the road, they got this cool black and white thing called rules. And, it says all races will officially end at the checkered flag, regardless of number of cars that have completed, the number of laps completed. And, it kind of just drives the nail in the coffin when the general rule of thumb says, hey, that flag is flown, race is over, we're bringing our caution light on to slow everyone down. And, that's the way it should have ended. And, I think it's kind of crummy that, we ended up having extra laps, I guess, to make up. But us in the race car, we don't know. There's so many cautions and so many diversions we have to do to get to the end of the 20-lap main. It's near impossible to keep track of it. So when we see that white flag, man, we're hammered down, just bumping and slamming. And, so like I said, it was quite a surprise when that checkered flag really didn't mean the end of the race.
Well, now I have went back through, and I've been around racing for over 40 years, and I've went back through my memory banks and talked to quite a few people today. And the only instance that I can remember happened at a local track here. There was a caution in turn 1 as the leaders were coming down the back straight. They were coming into 3 and 4 on the receiver. They came out and they said, yellow flag, yellow flag, yellow flag. Because they decided that was it. They were up against a time limit on the race. They threw the checkered and the caution at the same time. They done this because there were cars in harm's way in turn 1. And when these guys come into the start-finish line, they're going to be making that mad dash, trying to get that one more spot before they get to the start-finish line. And they didn't want them to race to the start-finish line, so they threw both flags at the same time. Now, that's in defense of a yellow and a checkered. But I have talked to a couple of flagmen. Once the checkered waves, it's a done deal. Stick a fork in it, it's done. If you wave the yellow after that, that's fine, but the race is over. Now, for them to come back and say, oh, no, we're going to run 2 more laps, that's about, not knocking the racetrack itself, but that's about the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
Well, I'll tell you what, certainly wasn't the smartest thing, huh? A good old buddy of mine, Keith Cowboy Colburn, he's been flagging for a long time racer. He was our flagman for quite a while, and things didn't end up working out for him here at our track. And, we're hoping one day he'll find it in his heart to come back. he's one of the veterans that, would have known that and would have made the appropriate call. So there wasn't a question of a decision on how to end such a simple race. So at the end of the day, this is where the experience of some of the staff comes into play. And, I just hope that, through this attention in the media, that they kind of wake up a little bit and understand that, it's serious to us. Racing is a big part of our lives. This isn't just mowing the lawn on a Sunday morning. We're out there slamming, banging, spending our money, doing side jobs, taking cans in, for God's sakes, getting money to go racing. What we want is a fair race. What we got wasn't fair at all.
I agree with you 100%. And it's funny you mentioned Keith. He's I'm going to rat him out. He's the one that turned me on to this ordeal. I met him through another ordeal down the road from you at Bakersfield a while back when Mr. Manzella's car caught on fire, and they wound up having to call the fire department to come put it out.
Yeah, and I was right down in there, right on the other side of the pit wall, getting a live exclusive feed, and that's where I met Scott, the promoter down there. He didn't seem too happy about me getting a close-up on the fire. 'Cause we're real big about safety now. That's one thing that our track has just knocked out of the park is safety, safety, safety. And since that event, a lot of the guys have really took it among ourselves beyond the track to step up our game for safety. And, last thing I wanted to do is have something like this and not get that record so people could see that. That's something that's real important to me to show to people because, I'm willing to put myself in harm's way to say, hey, guys, this is what this looks like. This is a real deal. When you see these cars wreck, catch on fire, these are people's livelihood that are wrapped up in some of these cars. Their sponsors, their money, their work, their names on the side of that car, and that's who they are. And it's a big deal when you lose a car. And, next to, getting unfair calls every once in a while, a lot of people take it to heart. And I certainly did, and so did, most of the field. We all know what we finished. There was no reason to keep going when, the checkered was flown. So at the end of the day, talking with a lot of the guys from the track, I know I made the right call in saying the things I said. And I really hope the track understands that and steps up their game because we're bringing it. We certainly are. Mini stocks are the new upcoming thing in this town. And a few nights we've been the main event. And it's just been working miracles for us and bringing a lot of new people in. And our Rocky Hill is quite the racetrack, a true high bank oval. None of that, 2 degrees. We're banking at, I think, something like 7 or 8 degrees. And, I've been to a lot of tracks, and there ain't nothing come close to our track.
Well, Clint, tell you what, hang tight. We're going to step out, take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more racing. It's the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the doctor, and my special guest, Clint Massey, exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Do you love the sound of high revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels new to intermediate to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
This is Paul Stanley from KISS for RAD, recording artists, actors, and athletes against drunk driving. Some of us work months producing a CD, but in less time than it takes to play it, someone will be killed in an alcohol-related crash. So please don't drive when you've been drinking. Plan ahead. Arrange a designated driver. Remember, friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, your authority on motorsports of all types. Be listening for the most accurate and up-to-the-minute coverage of every motorsports activity that you enjoy on a daily basis. Be it NASCAR, be it IRL, be it Formula One, be it drag racing, be it dirt track, off-road, props, hulls, whatever. We are your source for motorsports. Performance Motorsports Network.
This is Joey Logano, driver of NASCAR number 22 Discount Tire Car. You know something? You and I aren't all that different. I drive a car, you drive a car. My car has tires, your car has tires. I may be going just a little faster than you each weekend, but we both need to keep those tires properly inflated to stay safe. So be tire smart and do your part. Check your tire pressures once a month and before every long journey.
Visit BeTiresmart.org. A message from the Rubber Manufacturers Association.
You're listening to the Monday Night Results Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. Racing information at its best. And now back to the Doctor of Statistics.
All right, welcome back. Now, we're talking about Rocky Hill Speedway out in Porterville, California, and some of the things that went on there this past weekend. Clint Massey, who ran in the race this weekend, is joining us as our guest tonight. One thing that I kind of want to shift a little bit of gears here. Whenever I take on I don't want to say a dispute, but a controversial topic where like this was, I always try to get both sides of the story. Now, yesterday when I spoke with Clint and asked him to come on the show and we lined everything up, one of the things that I done was I sent Rocky Hill Speedway a message. I explained to him what I was doing tonight, and I said, I'm going to be covering the way you handled this mini stock race. And I would like to give you the opportunity to give your side of it, give your reasoning for the way it was handled. Now, I reach down here on my browser and I click it. I sent it last night at 12:43 a.m. It was seen today at 1:22 p.m. So it was seen this afternoon. That was 8 hours ago, 9 hours ago. They have had plenty of time to respond or to say no thank you or to say no comment, but they didn't choose to even respond. Now, I have been on both sides of the fence when it comes to racetracks. I have been the one standing down there screaming and hollering until I'm hoarse, kind of like now. And I have been the one that has stood there with the headset on, being screamed and hollered at. I can see both sides of a situation. Sometimes the wrong call is made. How that is dealt with speaks volumes about the promoter and how they treat drivers and fans and crew. Now, I've heard a lot of positive things that have been said about Rocky Hill. I'm not doubting that the racetrack is an awesome track and that the area is prime for ponies or mini stocks. My thing is, if the promoter was serious about bringing more fans and more cars into his facility. He would have taken the opportunity to respond. Whether he said, hey, it was a messed up situation, we made the bad call, I'll stand by it. Or however he wanted to approach it. I have seen promoters who realize that a bad call was made and they do what they can to make it right. Now, as I've seen, this promoter hadn't done anything to make it right other than delete negative comments off their Facebook page. I've seen a lot of that. That tells me that they're not on the up and up. I ain't going to say they're dirty. I ain't going to say they're bad, but from a innocent bystander or a non-interested third-party observer, as I am, I don't see that being a good thing. It's not how you draw more fans and more drivers into your racetrack. You've got to be willing to stand up and say, okay, hey, one of my officials made a bad call. We screwed up. How can we fix it? Now, Clint, if the officials would have come to you guys down there when you were parked there at the start-finish line, as the video clearly shows, y'all knew the race was over. The checkered flag flew. In 50 states in the union, every racetrack I've checked the rules on, the checkered flag ends the race. That race was officially ended in my eyes. But if the promoter come to you and said, hey, look, we screwed this up, how can we fix it? I'm sure you guys would have been willing to work with them and to come up with a solution to this problem, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, well, certainly. Screwing the pooch, needless to say, wasn't the best way to handle the situation. The lack of communication to give fulfilled answers is less than desirable. I did my due diligence along with other drivers to get the information needed to make us feel good about the way the race ended. And up till now, all complaints haven't been fulfilled. So I've taken it upon myself to involve the track owner and kind of see if he could help wrangle his promoter and help him kind of see the error of his ways. I don't want this ending of the 2016 season to end on a bad note. We had such a great year, great calls, and not really sure why a promoter would put himself in the middle of a track as chief steward to view the race on the ground level and be the decision maker and not be up in the grandstands or up in a vantage point to see the whole track. I don't. That's not a way you should be doing things, in my opinion. And I think that my thoughts, along with other people's, have been really voiced, private message, in person, and now publicly. And I hope they understand that we're not going to take this lightly. If you make a bad call, we're going to call you out. And if I have to do what's right and follow the rules, so are you. Bottom line. Black and white.
I agree 100%, Clint. Now, I was turned on to your thread, the page where all this started, and I read, it took me a while, I read through every comment. Now, there were a couple of people who made comments along the lines of, well, bitching about it is just negative, and negative don't fix anything. Well, I'm here to tell you it does. There's this thing called constructive criticism.
Yes.
If you talk to the track officials that night, they wasn't willing to work it out. They didn't want to hear no explanations if they kind of had the my way or the highway attitude. And you tried with due diligence to do it the right way. I think you done the right thing by taking it to social media to bring the exposure to the problem. Because if you just let it go and you say, okay, we'll try to improve next year. If you take that attitude, then next year it's just going to happen again. And then it'll happen again. Somewhere, sometime, somebody has to take a stand, draw a line in the sand, and say, hey, look, this was bogus. This is bad. This makes all of us look bad. Let's fix it and move forward. And I think that by you going to social media and presenting your case and to have the video evidence to back it up, I think you done the right thing.
Well, I certainly don't think it was the wrong thing. You know, I'm one of the local guys that really push the promotion of dirt track racing. Decisions made right and wrong should be embraced on both ends. You know, needless to say, the squeaky wheel gets greased, I guess. And I hope that it ends up being that way. You know, I'm a firm believer that if you have a problem, it really does need to be spoken about. And if you just have private conversations, those things get brushed under the rug. Who cares about that? Racing is a public event. Making bad calls was a public event, and there's no reason that it shouldn't be solved publicly. You know, if a racer bent over and got his oil checked, and that was the final race, that was the final call, and we all just said, all right, you know, it's okay to pull one over on us, you know, then that's our bad. But in reality, you know, a lot of us knew what was right, and we all approached the promoter and had our legitimate complaints, and none of those complaints have been fulfilled with amount of information that would fulfill the simplest question of why. And that's what we simply want to know.
You know, Clint, a lot of people say, well, it was just a 4-cylinder class. Well, you know, I don't know if y'all ever seen it on the West Coast, but in the Southeast, there used to be the National Series that was called the Havatampa Series. And it was all dirt late models. Well, the announcer of that series, his name was Jimmy Mostedler, and he is probably one of my heroes. As an announcer myself, to listen to him and to take things the way he done it, that's what I try to do. I heard him say in an interview one time right before he passed away, he said, you take and you look. He said, that back gate over there where all the race cars come in at the pit gate, he said, they sell pit passes over there. He said, the guy that wins in the super late model division paid the exact same amount to get in the gate as the guy who finished dead last in the pony division. They deserve the same amount of respect. And that is something that I have always tried to push across to promoters or to anybody involved in racing, is just because a class is considered, say, a support division, that don't make them any less of a racer than the guy who races for a living. And the guys that run the 4-cylinders, the ponies, the Hornets, whatever you want to call them, these guys get out there and they put their butts on the line to put on a show for the fans and to put a couple of bucks in the promoter's pocket. The least the promoter can do is acknowledge them and stand up and say, hey, look, I screwed the pooch. I made a bad call. What can I do to fix it? And hopefully Sonny Sells will take that initiative, which after some of the things I've seen him do and seen happen, he won't. But maybe if he realizes how important this little bad call has turned into, maybe he will back up and look and go, okay, I can still fix this. But he's going to have to stand up and make a stand and admit that there was a mistake made, and he's going to have to do something to make it right.
Yeah, that's certainly right. You know, I'm a firm believer in there's never a wrong time to make the right call. You know, you hit the nail on the head. You know, the mini stock class out here really is a support division, but we pay the same amount to get in the back gate. We race on the same track, do the same amount of laps. We run the same fuels, and I'll tell you what, when racing's in your blood, it don't matter if you're driving a hobby stock, late model, B mod, mod light, don't matter. I've driven hobby stock and mini stock, and that mini stock is one heck of a race car. And you really can't put anything against the mini stock class negatively, because those guys are the blood, sweat, and tears at our track. We're the main group that comes there race after race, really promoting it on the local level, followed by our great hobby stock guys, and they're just always making good calls. So, I was really shocked the way that this had turned out, and really hope that Sonny Sell feels the immediate attention and realizes that he needs to make this right, because I'm not blind, and I hope that he doesn't continue to pee in the fire and tell me it smells good, because so far that's all we've gotten.
Well, like you said, it's never too late to make the right call. And, I think that any promoter worth his salt has to, sometimes it may take them a day or two to go, yeah, I didn't realize I screwed up this bad. But, they got to make that call, and they got to stand up and do the right thing if they want to develop a following and want to keep people coming back. I mean, it sounds like you got an awesome race facility there, and you could really use a good promoter or somebody that's willing to do the right thing.
Yeah, that's certainly true, and I hope that Sonny Sell takes this and adapts to that and becomes that great promoter. It doesn't matter who you are. You can be one-legged, half-blind, and in a wheelchair for as I care, and be the best promoter on the planet. It's about following the rules, following through, showing accountability, and putting the racers, fans, and crew first. Without us, the show doesn't happen. And I think that needs to be brought into the light a little bit. And, when it comes down to it and the dust settles, where are we at? We're in the pits, got our cars on the trailer, got a cold beer in our hand. We're ready to have a good time, because that's the type of atmosphere that we've all put in place. And,
well, Clint, I think you guys have done something, and I think the stand that you have taken is the right one, because I just got a message that Sonny has deleted his Facebook page.
Yeah, unfortunately, he had advised everyone on the Rocky Hill page to message him with any negativity, and I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it, or maybe he's just having internet problems. I don't know. But what I do know is that, he and I have been in contact since the race, and there's been no resolutions. I've spoken with the owner of the track, and I hope that they could talk some sense into him. At the end of the day, I want to come back. The racing field wants to come back, but the way this has gotten handled so far just flat out ain't the way you do business, because that's what this racetrack is a big business, and it's a hobby to us. It's an expensive one, but it's something that we're going to come back year after year and keep doing as long as we're treated right. All we're asking is to be treated fairly. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
No, sir, there's sure not. Well, Clint, we're up against the commercial break. I'm going to have to let you go, but, man, keep me posted on this. And if anybody is friends with Sonny or has his ear, if he would like to come on my show, on a future show, and explain why this happened, have him get in touch with me. I'm not hard to find.
So I'll put this out there because we're out in the radio world. Sonny Sell, this is your call out, man. I publicly brought out what happened. Now you got to publicly come back and tell us your part of the story. Let's get this squashed, man.
There it is there. All right, Clint, man, good luck to you and best of luck next year. And we'll be following you on Facebook, and hopefully we'll be reading your name at the top of the list.
Oh, yeah, most certainly, man. Up and coming.
All right, man. Thanks so much. Clint Massey, Southern California driver who is stirring the pot just a little bit, but doing the right thing. All right, we're going to step out, take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, I'm going to run through a couple of results here, and we've got some upcoming stuff coming. So don't go nowhere. It's the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the Doctor, exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
The odds of a young girl being discovered by an industry insider while singing to herself pumping gas. 1 in 300 million. The odds of a daughter of a clergyman from Severn, Maryland, spending 11 weeks at #1 on the U.S. singles charts. 1 in 19 million. The odds of going on to win 7 Grammy Awards. 1 in 1.4 million. The odds of selling over 40 million records. 1 in 800,000. The odds of this musician and performer having a child diagnosed with autism. 1 in 68. I'm Toni Braxton, and I encourage you to learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Autism Speaks. It's time to listen. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Eric Darnell.
This is David Reagan. Jamie McMurray. This is Carl Edwards here for RAD,
the entertainment industry's voice for road safety.
Want to make a difference? It's simple. Be responsible.
Plan ahead. Designate before you celebrate.
Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, your authority on motorsports of all types. Be listening for the most accurate and up-to-the-minute coverage of every motorsports activity that you enjoy on a daily basis. Be it NASCAR, be it IRL, be it Formula One, be it drag racing, be it dirt track, off-road, props, hulls, whatever. We are your source for motorsports. Performance Motorsports Network.
Just the facts and none of the bull.
Radio edit.
It's the Monday Night Results Show with the Doctor, only on the Performance Motorsports Network.
All right. Thank you and welcome back. I want to say real quick before we get too far in here, please keep the people of Gatlinburg, Tennessee in your prayers. They are evacuating. There are serious forest fires in the area. There is rain on the way, but don't know if it'll be enough. Once these fires get going, sometimes there just is no stopping them. And there's quite a few videos all over Facebook of the fires that are burning in Gatlinburg. So please keep the people of Gatlinburg in your prayers as you go through tonight. All right. Also, I want to reiterate something I mentioned earlier in the show. Tiger Tom Pistone, who will be my guest next week. We are going to do a 2-hour show with Tiger Tom. Tiger Tom has something that is very near and dear to his heart, and that is his kids' animal rescue shelter. They need help desperately. They have been doing this out of their own pockets, and they're getting down to where there ain't much left in the pockets. There's no budge in the budget. So if you can, the link to their Facebook, their website is on the Monday Night Results Show's page. Please share it and ask everybody you know to help. I mean, it's a great cause, and it's one that I can't believe there's not more NASCAR drivers jumping on board. These guys are steady looking for tax write-offs. This is a 501c3 organization, So your donation is tax deductible. And I just can't understand why some of these NASCAR drivers are not jumping in, the current ones, I mean, are not jumping in and helping out one of the legends of the sport with a cause. I mean, Tom is putting his entire racing operation, all of the old cars that he's got, cars with history, Harry Gant history, Rex White type history. He's putting those up for sale, and he's doing it because it's what he loves. It's his kids, and they need some help. So if you can find it in your heart, please help them out. All right. I told you we were going to jump on some results. Well, let's jump on some. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Where did my results go? We will jump into the leftover from 411 Motor Speedway up in Seymour, Tennessee. In the crates, it was the Flying Welshman, Jason Welshman, taking the win over Jason Manley. Donald McIntosh in the A1 car was third. Greg Martin was fourth. Ross White was fifth. Matt Henderson was sixth. Tyler Bear was seventh. Walker Arthur was eighth. Logan Robertson was ninth. 10th was Steve Holcomb. Remington Gill was 11th. Cameron Skinner was 12th. 13th was Danny Yoder. Josh Henry was 14th. Corey Allman was 15th. Philip Thompson was 16th. Ryan King was 17th. Chicky Barton was 18th. Jim Couch was 19th. Ruben Mayfield was 20th. Jason Trammell was 21st. Lamar Scoggins was 22nd. And don't know who was in the 23rd spot. In the super late models, in the A main, it was Mac Daddy, Dale McDowell, taking the win over the Nightmare, Jimmy Owens. Donald McIntosh was third. Jackie Boggs, the legend, Jackie Boggs was fourth. Jason Hyatt was fifth. Jason Welshman, the Flying Welshman, was sixth. Lane Clifton was seventh. Jason Cardwell was eighth. Michael Chilton was ninth. Ryan King was 10th in the Warrior House car. Mitchell Childress was 11th. Bobby Mays was 12th. Tim Dameron was 13th. Josh Henry was 14th. Levi Ashby was 15th. Scott Shelton was 16th. Doug Smith was 17th. Walker Arthur was 18th. Brandon Williams was 19th. Cheeky Barton was 20th. Harrison Hall was 21st. And Mac McCarter rounded out the 22-car field. In the modifieds, who made a strong showing up at Seymour this past weekend, Casey Burdett takes the win over Jimmy Owens. Lucas Lee was third. Clayton Miller was fourth. Victor Lee was fifth. Sixth was Brad Hall. Sean Flannery was seventh. Eighth was Evan Vance. Joey Cotterman was ninth. David Webb was 10th. Austin Holcomb was 11th. Logan Burke was 12th. Ben Petrie was 13th. Davey Warnock was 14th. Jody Puckett was 15th. Jimmy Lennox was 16th. Brian Skaggs was 17th. Brandon Russell was 18th. 19th was Kevin Kofer. Micah Reams was 20th. Ernie Ginrich was 21st. And 22nd was Keith Denny. In the cred, and that wraps up. Yep, that wraps up all of them. Yep, I got those. All right. We're getting up against the end of the show. I want to remind everybody, coming up, Arizona Speedway, the first week of January, it's the Wild West Shootout presented by O'Reilly's out at Arizona Speedway, Queen Creek, Arizona, January 7th, 8th, 11th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. If you're in that area, you might want to slide on by there. Check them out because they're going to have a huge, huge thing going on up there, and hopefully they will get everything worked out and get the tickets are on sale. You can go on their website, thewildwestshootout.net, and check them out. The USRA Modifieds have traditionally been an integral part of the Kaiser Manufacturing Wild West Shootout. This year will prove a little different. The Wild West Shootout will take on a new and exciting role, offering national USRA points, launching the Modified Championship hopefuls into the 2017 season. That is going to be great. This is going to be a points race for the USRA Modifieds. So if you get a chance, slide on out there and check them out. Now I'm looking here to make sure I'm not missing nothing. Yep, I think we've got everything covered. There is the Cabin Fever has been set up for the last weekend in January. That will be at Boyd Speedway. There are some new races that are coming up for New Year's. We will be getting all of those together for you for next week's show. Don't forget, next week, very special show, very special man, Mr. Tiger Tom Pistone. We are going to be doing a 2-hour special with Tiger Tom. I'm pretty much just going to give him the microphone and turn him loose, let him go, see if I can put the brakes on him to go to commercial breaks. And then we will just let Tiger Tom talk about his history in racing, some of the things that he has done. I mean, this man, huge part in so many different teams over the years, just wide open. One of the 15 inductees into the Racers Reunion Hall of Fame in 2010. That Hall of Fame is located in Memory Lane Museum in Mooresville, North Carolina. He won 2 NASCAR convertible division races, 130 Cup starts, and his last one came in 1968. He made his debut in 1955, finished 6th in the championships in 1959, driving for Carl Rupert. He was away from NASCAR in 63 and 64, but returned in 65 to drive for Glenn Sweet and Emery Gilliam. Just a great guy, a ton of fun to talk to. I've had so much fun listening to him over the past few months and hearing stories that he's told and getting to share some things with him. And next weekend, it's going to be Tiger Tom all over the Monday Night Results Show. I want each and every one of you to share. I'm going to start doing the program, the show preview early this week. I want to share this with everybody that we can. I want this to be a special event for Tiger Tom. I know that he's been through some tough times lately. Lost his wife just a couple of years ago, and that's tough. And I know that him getting to get out and share his story means a lot to him. And that's one of the things that I hope that we can do and give him some time to, kind of let it all hang out and talk about what he likes. Maybe we'll get him to tell the Rex White story. But I'm looking forward to it. I want to thank my guests tonight, Clint Massey and Dusty Rhodes, for coming on tonight. Dusty, for his safety thoughts. Clint for his thoughts on how a race should be run from a racer's standpoint and doing the right thing. It's guys like you two, Clint and Rusty, that make this so much fun to do this show. I just like sharing racing with everybody, and we hope that during the off season, everybody will get to go do some racing. Don't forget, we got a name change coming up the end of next month, so get your thoughts and ideas in, and we'll be doing something special to kick off the first of the year in January. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get them on out of here. The checkered flag is waving. And unlike some racetracks on the West flag means we're done. So from everybody here at the Monday Night Results Show, so long. Have a great night, everybody. It's been the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the doctor, exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network. See ya.
Y'all ready for this? The Monday Night Results Show is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network. www.performancemotorsportsnetwork.com, a member of the Scorpion Radio Group, Inc., and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. Check out our Facebook page or our section on the PMN website. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-host, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either PMN or Scorpion Radio Group, Inc., the advertisers, or the marketing partners. If you would like to hear the results from your local track, or you are a track owner or a promoter and want us to cover your venue, give us a call during normal business hours, 717-749-0444. IM us on our Facebook page or email us at performancemotorsportsnetwork@gmail.com. Be listening again next week as we are talking results on the Monday Night Results Show with the Doctor. For the Monday Night Results Show, I'm Big Mike.